You have a 25-year-old daughter. She's visiting you for tea. You sit down for tea and cake, and all of a sudden, she gets a really serious look on her face and she says to you, "Mom, there's something I always wanted to tell you, but I couldn't. Do you remember how I got really grumpy and moody when I was 11? And you get goosebumps because you know something's coming." And she says, "You remember Uncle Bob? He always used to be so friendly when he came to visit. Well, he touched me. And he touched me over a long time and I didn't know how to tell you." This is a scenario that most parents believe will never happen to them. Hi, my name is Kelly Arrowsmith, and on behalf of People's Post and City Vision, I'd like to give you some ideas on how you can teach your child about keeping themselves safe. Children face many personal safety challenges that we as parents want to protect them against. Challenges like mugging, peer pressure, and sexual predators, all scary subjects. After 2 years of interviewing thousands of children from all backgrounds, the University of Cape Town found that 1 in 3 South African children are sexually abused by the age of 18. They also found that boys and girls are equally vulnerable, and while 31% of girls report the abuse, only 2% of boys ever report being abused. The fact is that you really can't watch your child 100% of the time. You need to empower them to keep themselves safe. It's difficult to know where to begin. You want to teach your child about personal safety, but you don't want to frighten them. So let's look at some ideas. The most important thing is that you focus on the task at hand, stop what you're doing, and really get down to their level. Make up a game that's interesting and fun that you can use. Maybe get some chalk and draw all over the driveway. The important thing is that the first few times you teach them about safety, that you give them your undivided attention so that you know how they react. Boundaries are a good place to start. As adults, we've kind of fumbled our way through setting our boundaries, but maybe not really thought about them and what they are and how they keep us safe. So what is a boundary? A boundary is like a wall. It clearly shows where our boundary to our property is, and it's easy for a child to understand because they can see the boundary. When you're teaching your child about personal safety, make sure that you always keep the discussion positive. Talk about safety, not about the bad things or the bad people. That's scary. Many parents talk about terrible things that are happening around us in front of the children, and this makes them more fearful. Wait until the child is not around before discussing the gory details with your friends. A door can also be a boundary, and you can open a door and let safe people or people you trust in. Of course, we need to ensure that our personal safety training is age appropriate. Another type of boundary is one that's not physical, kind of like a line on a tennis court or a soccer field. It takes a while to understand boundaries, so don't get impatient if your child changes the subject. This is perfectly normal. You can bring up boundaries when you're out and about with the child. For example, discuss the line in the middle of the road. Just think about the chaos if we didn't have those boundary lines. Even the boundaries lines in a parking lot. Where would everyone park if there were no lines? It's quite easy to use these types of examples to explain how boundaries work and how and why we need to set them. Once the child starts to understand the various types of boundaries, you can introduce the concept of personal space as a boundary. We need to set boundaries for different people in our lives. People we don't know, people we know, and close friends and families. We should have boundaries with all of them. Another boundary would be, everything covered by our bathing suit is never touched by anyone, and don't make exceptions, it just confuses the child. There are a lot of things you can use to teach your child about safety without frightening them. One of my favorites is called sandboxing. And I'll give you an example. When my granddaughter was quite young, I used her dinosaurs. This is a Brontosaurus, and her name is Bronnie. And this is a T-Rex, and his name, of course, is Rex. And as an example, I gave Rex to my granddaughter, and we played, and I was eating, and I "Oh my goodness, a T-Rex! I'm scared. What do I do? What do I do?" And my granddaughter said to me, "Run, Granny." And of course we turned around and we ran. And then I said, "I'm stuck. What do I do? What do I do?" "Hide, Granny." So this is a way of role playing with your child, but using something indirect so it's not frightening to them. You can use their toys, and the main thing is that you plan the responses and you get them to start planning their safety. Getting a child to keep a secret is one way child molesters test their boundaries. "Shh, don't tell anyone about this present. It's our little secret." Teach your child that games and presents that have to be kept secret are bad. The only good secret is one that has an end date, like a birthday party or a surprise party for someone. Another very important skill that your child needs to know and feel comfortable with is getting help. Getting help can be quite difficult, even for an older child. Try role-playing a scenario with them. Switch roles. The child can be mom and you can be the child. The child can pretend to be busy with something like cooking and you need to try and get their attention. Try saying something like, "Mom, this is urgent. I really need to talk to you." And then switch roles. Safety is not something that you can do once. Safety is something that you need to do over a lifetime. And the earlier you start with the little ones, the more tools you are able to give them to keep themselves safe from the various dangers they may face. Plan your safety training with them. And practice regularly. Role play is extremely important. Just telling a child how to keep safe is not going to do it. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video.